if Bitcoin and Ethereum rain on this parade and bring down the altcoin market, what type of lower price targets are we going to have for Multivac, Verasity, and Trias? Let's jump in. So when you have a potential scare down with the market leaders, Ethereum and Bitcoin, driving down the market, typically your larger timeframes are going to give you your better basis points. And once you have those targets, then you can use the lower time frames, such as 4-hour charts, in order to tweak the parameters or more finely tune those gears on the machine of your analysis, right? So I'm staring at MTV chart on the weekly. If Bitcoin drops to close to 50K, which is very possible, and that would still be a very bullish higher low, extremely bullish higher low, it'd still be an uptrend on the daily, a very strong uptrend on the daily, an uptrend on the weekly. Multivac might get close to tagging its weekly 21 down here at 1.47 cents. If Bitcoin and Ethereum don't correct that far, then somewhere in between, then a wick or between the weekly 10 EMA. So the red line is the weekly 10 EMA. The yellow line is the weekly 21 EMA. Somewhere below there would be a target. And if this correction, if it ends up playing out with Bitcoin and Ethereum, isn't that severe? Well, you have a couple downside targets that aren't as severe. The weekly 10 for Multivac, or just the wick low. So this closes some type of almost like a upside down hammer, like a gravestone looking candle, which wouldn't be good in terms of candlestick structure. However, I would assume that that would be a bear trap of sorts, and therefore Multivac would pop right back up with Bitcoin and Ethereum throughout the month of November, perhaps later, like the third week in November though. So these are the price targets. Now, what does that mean on the daily chart? So structurally, closer to the downside targets of if Bitcoin and Ethereum hit, the lower end targets, I could see Multivac, that's also 1.47. Look, this line, the structure here it's actually 1.48. But I got to almost the exact same number using so not even with EMAs, simply just using the lower structure here. Revisiting the lower side of the range, this would end up being a failed breakout. It'd come here, and a lot of coins have done that. PDEX has done that. Mover did this. It broke out, came back down to the bottom of the range, and sometimes they just zoom back up and find support up high and resume. So going back to the lower end of the range, should Ethereum and Bitcoin really give a hard correction, I would say around just under 1.5 cents. So just under 1.5 cents, 0.015 wicks under there. But in general, the general daily closures should be around 1.5 cents, but with wicks below, perhaps down to 1.47, 1.45 cents, something to that effect. So, and again, Bitcoin and Ethereum might not correct. And for new viewers who are finding my channel who are new, honestly, if you don't know how to set up a chart and you're clicking around with crypto, right? First off, you need to stop clicking around with your money and probably stop buying crypto. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but you do need to stop this video and click this link right here. You need to know how to set up a chart. So that link right there, make sure you click it, right? If it's gone, rewind and click it again, or click it for the first time. It's going to help you understand what I'm saying. And when you understand what I'm saying, I'm going to be a lot more helpful to you. So, but plus you need to know how to set up your own dang chart. So stop this for new folks and click that link, and let's keep moving for returning viewers. All right. So those are the lower end targets that I have for Multivac. Now let's dive in. So what I'm going to show you next is both Verasity and Trias, and you might see that there are similarities. So stay tuned for this, Multivac people. There are going to be similarities in what downside targets and the reasonings based off structure and EMAs. It's going to be similar stuff. So watch how this is similar. Stay tuned for these, even if you're just a Multivac fan. So now I am flipping to Trias. flip your phone or get flipped off. Flip your phone vertically, because right now it's probably horizontal. Flip it vertically, so then you can see the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up. Also, what's going to help me continue making videos for you, if you leave me a comment, even if it's a period but no tampon, put a period on there, emoji poop, like scream B Pro, whatever. If you're a B Pro fan, you're on here. And also for new viewers, if you like what you see so far, hit subscribe, hit that bell, because a lot of my stuff is time sensitive. So if I'm going to help walk you through a more profitable crypto journey, got to hit that bell so I can help you out. All right, so let's also start with the weekly in mind on Trias. And these are downside targets. And if I could stop drawing pink lines on my chart, Tim, that would be great. All right, so, gee whiz. Tim, you don't have your Multivac GIF on there, your background. Yay, it looks so much better. All right, so Trias looks like it might ignore a drop in Ethereum. It's already had a red week. It flipped it green. Can it reflip it red? Yes, but Trias is a strong candidate, and Multivac is not at this moment to ignore a drop in Bitcoin. I'm telling you. I mean, this is a very special consolidation, much lower than its previous all-time high up here of like 32 whatever bucks. It might ignore it, folks. However, let's say let's say both Bitcoin and Ethereum, both correct. Bitcoin gets somewhere below 60K in a correction, maybe not as low as 50. Ethereum gets closer to 41 or somewhere around 4K, something to that effect. What would that mean if Cardano? I almost called Trias Cardano. Oh my gosh, that is blasphemy. Whew. That was a bad slip up. I'm so sorry. All right. So I would say the weekly 10 EMA, and that would be a backfill of most of the previous. So backfill just means this week would go back down almost. It just dives into this candle. The price dives into the previous candle, and that wouldn't even be a bearish engulfing candle, which means it covers up the whole previous candle. It would just be a wick down, close up here. Next week could easily be green with that. So I would really be targeting not a crash of Trias all the way back down to the previous market structure of $10.32. I think Trias is set up too strong for that. I could see, I mean, even Bitcoin 50K, I don't see this going even much of a wick below $12.60 down to the weekly 10. And if it hits the weekly 10, honestly, I would probably remove some money from my futures account and buy more of it. I would probably find a way to start, or just use some of my capital, like hard-earned money, to buy more something. I would personally, and again, I am not giving you a call to action to take that same action with me. Rather, these are my thoughts on what I would do and why. Typically, this is a very good buy in a bull market anyway, in an uptrend, right? And with the idea that Trias is posturing after this very special and sexy consolidation, I mean, but it's probably not going to get down there. So Trias might not have as wicked low end targets on a percentage basis as other coins out there, simply because of the very special thing it just did. Honestly, folks, it looks like it's going to ignore an Ethereum and Bitcoin drop, honestly. But let's say also it succumbs to some degree. Another more reasonable target, if you're on the daily chart, is the daily 21 EMA. Bullish moves. If Bitcoin and Ethereum pull a bullish postured altcoin down, the daily 21 is typically a good pickup point. It's really just a go-to. A deeper pickup point is the weekly 10, which, even though I'm not on the weekly chart right now, it was somewhere down here, right? Around $10 and something cents, $10.60. So the daily 21 be a good pickup. So if you have $100 to spend on Trias and Ethereum and Bitcoin are going down, well, don't spend the whole $100 on the daily 21. Save like some of it for if it keeps going down to the weekly 10, right? So have a few pickup points for dollar cost averaging or DCAing down, and my go-to points are the daily 21 and the weekly 10. That's how I do things. So again, if I had $1,000 to spend on Trias, I would maybe try to pick up $500 worth at the, and this is not a call to action to you all. This is my personal thoughts for me only, Pokemon card trading education only, right? So I'm not telling you to buy here. I'm saying that this is where I personally would, this is my opinion. And yeah, this is my opinion and the reasons why. Historically, so I would save, I would do half of it there and wait for half in case it went down to hit the weekly 10, which is not shown on this chart, but we just saw it's around $10.60 somewhere over here. And if it never gets there and it starts recovering, then I would just market buy with the other 500 if it never hit, for example, right? Or what you could do is you could just look at where it is, where these are now, put some limit buys, $500 worth there, and look at and then flip to the weekly chart, put some limit buys for a total of $500 down at the weekly 10. See when they hit. If these lower ones never hit down here, just cancel them and market buy on momentum up. Once you think and you see a Costas Verdes video saying, hey, here's the bounce, and then market buy with the bounce after canceling those limit buys. Because when you have limit buys sitting down there, it eats up your available funds, right? So you need to cancel them first. So don't forget to do that. And also with stops, you got to cancel your stops if you have stops set as well, in leverage trading and other trades as well. So that's what we got for Trias. Let's go ahead and move on to Verasity. And again, my transitions are choppy because my main computer, my gaming tower computer, pooped out. All right, so it looks like Verasity will not close the green week. With Bitcoin and Ethereum raining on its parade. And again, right here, the weekly chart, the weekly 10 EMA, honestly, it looks like if Bitcoin and Ethereum do have downside targets, this one's way more obvious. It's going to hit the bottom of these candles here, or stop at the top of those candles. So either 5.9 cents or completely touch the weekly 10 EMA at 5.5. So 5.9 down to 5.5, and this is cents. So so the decimal is actually 2 off there. But in terms of cents, that would be pretty obvious downside targets between. And I will actually just put I'll put a box here, a blue box or whatever color it pops up here. So I will actually move this blue box down there to those 2 candle bodies, and I will go like that so you can see where I got these from. I would say downside target there for the weekly scale if Bitcoin and Ethereum have deeper corrections. Now, where's the daily 21? Well, it's already at its daily 21. Typically a good buyback, right? Yeah, it is. That's why you don't spend the whole $1,000 or the whole $100 you have to spend on that. Sometimes it goes down to the weekly 10 during bullish moves. So it's already there. So if Bitcoin and Ethereum tank, this is going to make the move down to, so it's essentially here. Let me show you this. Watch. So let's say your altcoin like Verasity is already correcting a little bit, even before Bitcoin and Ethereum really start correcting. So it started a correction, then it essentially gets a double correction, similar to how BPRO did back in May. It was already correcting deeply, like 70+%. Then Bitcoin tanked it, and then it ended up correcting. Like it had a double correction, right? Great. And it made BPRO get to a very low price. Great pickup. But so that might be about ready to happen to Verasity. Verasity might be in a very cool scenario where you're going to have a steal. It's going to be like a 1.5 correction because it's correcting half right now down to the daily 21, which is a obvious buyback point. Typically, it's a good strategy to use, right? Does it work perfectly? No. Am I telling you to buy Verasity at the daily 21? No, I'm not saying that. But historically, you have good luck, over a 50% chance should Bitcoin and Ethereum stay stable during a down move on your altcoin. That's a typical bounce point, but it's already there. Bitcoin and Ethereum might be ready to go. So here's what's happening. When that happens, you take you mentally have this thought. Okay, so if Bitcoin and Ethereum keep going down, what's next? You want to think, what's next? And what you're looking for as what's next is, where do buyers step in? What is an obvious spot? Usually EMAs and horizontals are those obvious spots. And although, I guess fibs and stuff, but fibs just typically, the fibs that hit, they align with the horizontal or an EMA almost every time, or an origin line. I bet you can't find me a time where a fib hit perfectly and it didn't hit one of those 3. You probably can't. And I have a lot of people in my community, why don't you use fibs? Why don't you use fibs? And I challenge them, okay, well, show me a time. And let's look at all my previous, buyback spots. Okay, was it a fib? Yeah. But did it also hit what I said independent of fib? Absolutely. So fibs are an obvious spot. It can be an obvious spot. And it's where buyers step in a lot. So I don't want to convince you not to use fibs. I'm not trying to say that. I personally just don't need them because the fibs that end up working are also what I already guessed using something else. But you can use fibs as well, like for extra confirmation of what's next. What are people going to see that's going to incline them to click buy? And if you have multiple things happening at one level that multiple different groups of people will click buy at, whether it's a fib touching the weekly 10 EMA, touching a horizontal, right? Horizontal made by candles. Well, shit, that's probably going to be a good bounce point because you have three different groups of people all having a reason to click buy, thinking that's the dip, and it essentially becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because if enough people say, "Hey, this is the bounce," and they're all seeing something at the same level, it just the prophecy of that bouncing fulfills, right? Obviously, depending on Bitcoin and Ethereum, how crazy it gets. So let's zoom back down on this chart here. So if Bitcoin and Ethereum go down, I mean, honestly, I would say it's going to tank below this, and it's going to come down here. Honestly, it could wick significantly lower. Actually, it might wick all the way down to the bare bottom of the structure at 5.1 cents. So that would be my low end target. 5.5 cents ish being my mid-low target. 5.9 cents being my higher target for a buyback area, should Bitcoin Ethereum tank down a little bit. So these are my three buyback points denoted by the first one, the second one, the third one. Now, if Bitcoin and Ethereum bounce here, well, shit, this daily 21 will be the bounce point, most likely for Verasity. It'll probably bounce with it, and that was it. So the daily 21 will have worked out in the scenario that Ethereum and Bitcoin really don't actually correct much more than today, which is Friday, November 5th. All right. So I want you to realize the importance of what I told you about the looking. So that's not just for Verasity, right? Whenever you are trying to buy a bounce point, whenever you're doing that, you always have to know what is next down there and how far away is it from where I'm planning to buy? Because if my plan doesn't happen, that's the next thing to stop it. And I'm going to take how much of a loss, right? So if that happens, crap. And I only have $100 to spend right now. Should I spend the whole thing or should I save half of it for if what's next happens? And that is a form of strategic dollar cost averaging using the charts. New viewers, these videos popping up, they can drastically change the level of profitability that you have within your crypto journey. Flip your phones vertically or get flipped off, hit that like button. New viewers, if you liked what you saw, subscribe, hit the bell that is actually the other way down here. It's going to help you maintain a more profitable crypto journey because this stuff's time sensitive and you need to hit the bell for that. And you all just got Timified.